Karibu sana. It is the 30th of September 2024, the very last day for so many different things, including your leave. It's good to have you back, Stanley.
Oh, yes. Good
Karibuni sana. This is the Morning Cafe. Yes.
Oh, yes. Most definitely good to be back and good to have you with us right here. Nimewahata, by the way. Nimewahata this particular morning. It is the last Monday of this particular September. Ile siku unaonanga HR unamwangalia hivi unamwambia usifanye hiyo kitu. Oh, yes. It is also the last day of the National Health Insurance Fund. Tomorrow, Kenyans will be waking up for the Social Health Insurance Fund. All these conversations right here, the big panel, State of the Nation, coming up, just talking about so much that is happening. Hii weekendi,
it could also be the very last day of Rigathi Gachagua's tenure as deputy president before impeachment, because the impeachment could be officially tabled tomorrow before the National Assembly, if it does happen. Now, it reminds me that while you were away, we began the countdown to Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I was watching, by the way.
So today is 86 days to Christmas.
86 days to Christmas.
Yes, tunaendelea sawa sawa. Haiko mbali sana. Yes, of course, on State of the Nation, and we'll be looking at your impeachment in Asumbua sana. So today we are hoping to have the full Monday panel in studio. Philip Kisia, Kipruto Rapkirwa, Honorable Dr. Mumbingarua, and Samuel Pogesio. So do stand by for that conversation.
Yes, and so many members of parliament are saying we move regardless.
Oh yeah, I see what you did there. Monday Blitz, yes, na jana watu ya Man United.
Usinikumbushe.
Sunge kakaki.
Don't remind me. Tattoo. Yani Tottenham Hotspur said mambo ni matatu, and that is what
theater
they served us. The theater of dreams.
Theater of nightmares, Queen.
Yes.
So you love all the weekend sports.
Most definitely. And also, a lot also happened in the Kenya Premier League. Shaban FC were not able to, the fans were not able to see, walikuwa naenda kuwatch kwa fence, na bado hikufanyika.
And the stadium was full.
And the stadium was, where? Iyo maneno ni ngumu. We'll be talking about that. Valeria Mwash is a sports analyst who will be joining Fred Arocho as well as Shutterboy. Into the headlines, a quick look.
Oh yes, and you'll realize on all the front dailies, front pages of the dailies, is this picture of the deputy president on his knees.
Yes.
Rigathi seeking divine intervention to avert impeachment. It is on all the front pages. I kid you not. But the main headline: UDA wiper operating illegally. This is according to an audit. Only ODM has been found to have the required number of branches across the country. UDA na wiper, they don't have enough branches. Yes.
Interesting.
Why Gachagua needs prayers. That's the front page of the People Daily, and yes, the deputy president on his knees there, he definitely needs prayers. The next 48 hours are very crucial for his politics, or the future of his politics.
Yes. So it is a clock that is ticking. The same photo there on his knees. MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. That is the front page of the Standard. And you'll realize different headlines have also quoted different quarters in the UDA party and what they're saying.
It's a very busy front page for the Standard today. It looks like a Tanzanian paper. Kama Mwananchi. Anyway, let's continue looking at the headlines.
A very neat front page. This is the front page of Daily Nation. The big headline is Stolen Title Deeds Mystery Deepens. So as much as the whole conversation about the ouster motion of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua continues, this story might have just gone silent. Watu ni kama hii story haijawapata sana.
At least the Daily Nation has done us a favor and brought it back to prominence, because this is what is dominating the biggest discussion. Impeachment loading, defining week for Ruto, Gachagua feud. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. Kitaeleweka ndo habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Na unakumbuka wakati wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta kulikuwa na tangatanga na kitaeleweka. Ndio hao wanatumia kitaeleweka. Imerejea. Shida ilikuwa ile ile, deputy president na rais wameangalia kando kando, unaona waangaliani. And then something very interesting happened yesterday. For the first time, Speaker of the National Assembly spoke about this.
Akasema
mtu wote mwenye analeta tribalism huo tutangoa. So people are wondering, surely wewe ndio refa.
I know. So sahi, the referee, the deputy referee, as well as majority leader.
Once you've pronounced yourself, hiyo game hata usiende. It's a done deal, like Adani. Business Daily.
Revealed half of farms fail to pay corporate tax. Okay, something interesting here.
Pale.
Yes, some numbers will be back to Google that. To regional matters now. And
they said no country for activists, and this is a very interesting headline on the front page of the East African. They talk because they have 3 frames. The first one, that is Kenya. The second one is Uganda, and the third one is in Tanzania.
Yes.
So they say no country for activists, and this is police and activists protesting and their encounters with police.
Yes.
So resistible rise of police state in the region as security agencies accused of extrajudicial actions in dealing with critics of the regimes and trampling on people's fundamental rights. So this is not just happening in Kenya, it's happening across the region. I think our brothers and sisters have copied our bad manners, and they're doing so perfectly. So in Uganda,
both the police and as well as
na unajua
activists.
huku wanakutumbia tear gas alafu wanakuambia na Kiswahili, tutakurushia kitoza machozi.
Je, wataka kurushiwa kitoza machozi?
La hasha, shika uende nayo nyumbani. That's East African. On the Daily Monitor,
Matters education always kipaumbele. Wanasema final exam countdown, moment of truth for standard 4 candidates, senior 4 candidates across the country will today know what papers they have to face under the new O-level curriculum, which was started 4 years ago when they joined Senior 1.
oh yes, so matters education given prominence on the front page of the Daily Monitor. On the front page of the New Vision, and this, I've seen a story here that mirrors what's happening in Kenya. 500 Mukono land titles found with anomalies. 500 of them.
Yeah.
In Kenya, we have about 397 that have disappeared from the government printers.
So in coming weeks, we might be seeing some of these
You might
headlines.
start, exactly, we'll just copy them. However, the biggest report there is about a report casting doubt on digital number plates. Installation kits are not ready and trackers lack SIM chips. So it's matters to do with the digital motor vehicle plates. They're moving towards that kind of technology. Kenya bado tuko nyuma sana, hata hapa hatujafikiria. So tusiwa enjoy, wako tu sawa.
Kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi, taarifa kuu pale, shule zageuzwa gesti bubu kule Dar.
Ni masuala ya shule, safety of boarding schools, the way wanafunzi wanavyoishi mashuleni na mabweni yao. Uchunguzi wa baini hali hiyo inatokana na kutotekelezwa kwa mwongozo wa malezi na ulinzi wa mtoto shuleni. Watendaji wa wilaya waahidi kuchunguza. Kuna habari kama hii, similar news in Kenya, especially after that Endarasha fire, and concerns about school and children's safety also being given prominence there.
And finally, on the front page of The Citizen, still in Tanzania. Now, this is a conversation that also mirrors what really happens in Kenya. Boda accidents. They say devastating impact of boda accidents. In a nutshell, the scourge of boda accidents extends beyond individual families, as they also place a heavy burden on the healthcare system, consuming a significant portion of the national health budget to treat accident victims. It is a special report for them. And today, The Citizen is quite neat. Yes, this is
wamejaribu kikompea na ingine imejaa kila mahali, hata ujui story iko wapi. Wamejaribu. Anyway, those are the dailies, and we'll be back to take a look at the local ones in a short while. For now, let's come back home and take a look at the traffic situation. Not really traffic, but rather the weather.
Yes.
Jana kumenyesha mvua ingine serious.
I'm telling you.
Na watu hadi saa hii ndo wanatoka Kasarani saa hii asubuhi.
By the way, hashtag trending right now, I think it is Kasarani. Nilikuwa nimeangalia a while ago. It was iko wapi? Kasarani was trending at #1, yes. Uhuru is also trending, and Lauryn Hill is also trending, and Nyashinsky is also trending.
But you know, I'm wondering, Sunday, Monday, watu wanatoka Kasarani concert at 6 a.m.
Yonile unaweka bana pale, unaambiwa pigia HR sahi. Ni kama hiyo kazi utaingia saa 2. And guys are actually living or are actually in Kasarani Stadium right now. Around 4:30 a.m. there was a number of fireworks. Kulikuwa na whole fireworks hapo hivyo.
Asubuhi.
Yes, looking amazing, but imeamsha watu wa that environment.
Tumefika ile mode ya sherehe. Saa hii ni kuenda tu, we are heading south. 86 days to Christmas, tuko tu sawa. Talking about the weather, it doesn't promise to be very nice today. Thunderstorms and showers in Nairobi as from 10 a.m. all the way for the rest of the day. So it's going to be a rainy day today, according to the weatherman. 16 degrees as we speak. The highest is going to get to 24, but heavy showers and thunderstorms throughout the day today.
Tafuta umbrella as of now. In the western region, in Kakamega, 17 degrees right now. Also similar, it's going to be heavily raining today. Some thunderstorms. Highest temperatures that you're going to be having today is as high as 23. And this is similar, as you can see. This is going to be the trend for this entire week all the way.
So at least ile wanasemanga short trains October, this one is for real. Usiseme ati climate change ilikuja kutanyesha proper.
Yes, that is the western region into
Rift Valley, deep Rift Valley.
It's a bit warmer, but then also it's going to be raining. Some thunderstorms as well.
Across the day, despite the high temperatures at 28 degrees Celsius, hii kuanzia 10 a.m. all the way mpaka jioni, thunderstorms in Baringo. Right now it's even hot, 22 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
Let's take a look at holiday weather kule coast. At least tuko hakuna mvua.
At least, yeah.
Unaweza enda Malindi, 24 degrees Celsius as we speak right now, promises to get as high as 29 degrees Celsius later in the day. Sunny intervals, but a bit of cloud cover.
Yeah.
Vile tu hakutanyesha, but you never know.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So that's the weather situation. We'll wait up until 1:30 the hour to take a look at traffic in Nairobi. For now, turejele magazeti. And all right, smart people read the Star. That's the first paper we've picked. UDA wipe operating illegally. Audit shows findings raise queries on why registrars allow the non-compliance to persist. This matters party regulation, political party regulation. Yes, I think sherehe inaendelea tu. Watu wanasikia kuimba wimbo. Only Raila Odinga's ODM party found to have the required number of branches across the counties. Even UDA, which is the biggest parliamentary party as we speak, does not comply with the number of branches. So chama ilikuanga kitambo ni chama tu ni KANU, which had branches all over.
Baka nashuku hata ulikuwa member.
Mimi?
Nashuku sana.
But you know, for you to be in the civil service, you have to be a member of KANU at some point.
Okay.
Then ODM, I think, comes closest, but it's way far. KANU was actually a perfect party.
Do you think moving forward, some of these ruling parties should introduce such? And considering
not in Kenya, we've moved on.
Considering the workforce right now is people like us. I mean, the Gen Z who don't really...
You're partyless, radarless, so there's no way we can get back to that. No wonder we are seeing the death of even the biggest party. So anyway, that's a big story on pages 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. But the biggest story and the biggest discussion today is there on the front page, given prominence as well, and it's that photo of the Deputy President on his knees for prayers, only hours ahead of his... looming impeachment. So anasema hapa Rigathi seeks divine intervention to avert impeachment. Na kaombewa sana pale, and you can see Bishop, the second lady, Bishop Dorcas Rigathi also there present.
I mean, you wonder what the Deputy President is thinking at that moment when he's kneeling down there, what his prayer item is.
One, he looks very subdued. But listening to the interview he gave at night, maybe he's not as subdued.
He has, there's just so much to reveal, but anapima kwanza.
And I hold back too.
Yes.
So that's the Star big stories. Other quick highlights on the front page of this paper. Government blames cartels after 367 title deeds go missing. So chunga sana, ukienda kununua shamba sasa, because they've already given the serial numbers of the documents that are missing, usipatiwe title gushi. DP Gachagua's supremacy battle with Kindiki leaves Mount Kenya elders divided, and Kalonzo cancels rallies in Kitengela after Azimio chiefs denied church access. Airline suspends Kakamega flight citing poor runway and safety concerns. Now this is not a good story because tulikuwa tushaanza kupanda ndege. Ukienda ushago unapanda ndege, hapana ile basi ya matunda tena.
Mnajazana na sijui
na vitanda na cushion na sofa sets. Unaenda airport unapanda tu ni mapickup na mitungi ya maji. Sasa wanasema the runway is poor and there are safety concerns. So Kakamega, the Governor Fernandez Barasa should fix that ASAP. That's the Star this morning.
And mostly the fact that Christmas, 80-something days to Christmas. At least what one day.
This is not the time to mess up that airport.
Yes. Why Gachagua needs prayers is the big headline on the front page of the People Daily. And they say despite President Ruto's reluctance, lawmakers from Central are determined to eat DP for breakfast, accusing him of tribal bigotry and a condescending attitude that talks down other leaders.
Lakini hao wamekuja sana bana. Eat the DP for breakfast. Woni amepiga magoti bana. People daily squeeze but anyway.
Wanapinya kufinya.
Wanapinya.
For picture there, Didmas Baraza, who he said some pretty interesting things.
Some very stinging
this past week.
Words.
Yes.
And well, if this impeachment does not go through, I don't know what these two gentlemen will do. Because they'll have to swallow a lot of their words and threats, which they've issued this whole week.
Other conversations there. Kalonzo blocked from Kitengela Church. He was there over the weekend. But matters education also make news here. They say schools on the spot over cash queries. And they list some of the schools. In case you're just struggling to see, we'll read them briefly for you. Maranda High School, Yamira Girls High School, Moi Girls High School, Sugor Girls High School, Chania Girls High School, St. Francis, that is Mangu High School, Friends Boys High School, is Mistiku, Rigoma Girls Secondary School, Our Lady of Mercy, Rangenyo Girls, as well as St. Matthias Busia High School. You can read that on page 2.
And the problem is that on our dailies, you rarely find any positive news. So this is on the spot over cash queries. Kalonzo blocked from church. Gachagua is on his knees and they're going to eat him for breakfast. Then there's another highlight here. 100 million shillings spent on elusive national dress. And you know we had the PS for culture, national heritage.
Yes.
And then, you know, she had actually promised that by 10th of October this year, which was by then Utamaduni Day. It changed later and became Mazingira Day. But they had promised that by 10th of October this year,
the unveiling of this,
we would be unveiling a new national dress.
And I'm really anticipating to see how it's going to be looking like.
I don't think they will. And 100 million has already been spent. MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. You see now, ahead of the president's meeting with MPs, which he called for today or tomorrow, ahead of parliament, the leaders are categorical, no discussion about dropping impeachment motion on the deputy president. Amesema hata kama president atasema, tutamwambia wewe sasa kaa kando.
Now, I'm curious the attendance of this meeting. If he calls all the UDA allied members of parliament, are they all of them going to appear in this meeting? Ama kuna wenye they'll give a wide...
Either way, 300 or close to 300 of them have signed in support of the motion. So even the speaker has spoken. His deputy has spoken. Everyone has spoken. So president atakuja waambia hapana nimekataa hiyo maneno. Anaambia wewe hapana. So that's a story there and an image there of the rather subdued deputy president on his knees akitafuta divine intervention. Meanwhile, NHIF dies with its scandals and secrets. Tomorrow, Kenya wakes up to a new health scheme, putting an end to the National Health Insurance Fund that has had its fair share of ups and downs. You can read this story on page 3. Nimeona wengine wakisema tio already 12 million have registered, but the true data is about 2 million have registered. So
have you registered?
Watu wana register wapi?
*147#. Yes.
Okay. I'll try that one.
Yes.
Why many state projects do not seem to take off? We continue looking at the 2 years of William Ruto. Should we say William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua? Yeah, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes. As government was a distraction, you'll realize the word deputy president has been used extensively on this front page. I'm asking here, Dennis Kabara feels the deputy president impeachment is wametumia jina ingine hapo ngumu sana. Wanasema is a cacophonous sideshow. The reality is likely about real transparency and accountability in our fiscus. So other parties are feeling that all this matters of tribalism na nini is just a scapegoat of what is actually happening in the government.
Na Dennis Kabara anafaa kuwe fair to us. Cacophonous sasa ndio vitu gani on a front page of a newspaper?
On a Monday.
On a Monday. 86 days to Christmas. Watu wametoka Kasarani asubuhi. Naga cacophonous.
On the front page of Daily Nation, wameenda wakuambia about this particular title deeds that was stolen. It said 2 conflicting statements, stolen security papers and infiltration of the government printer house have exposed how daring corruption cartels raided an installation supervised by State House and revealed the extent of land fraud in the country. Now, Kenyans are asking on social media, if title deeds are able to be stolen, how about ballot papers and such like? Very, very important papers in the government and in the country. Si hata basi inamaanisha mnaweza iba ballot papers.
These are security documents. Yes. Very serious breach, this one. Because they can be used to forge title deeds and commit land fraud. So this is just a caution to all Kenyans and those engaging in land transactions or registration of land. Be cautious. At least they've done justice. They've given the serial numbers of the documents that are missing. Yes. So if you find yourself mahali una interact na document between those serial numbers, on page 7 of the Daily Nation, you can read that. Uchunge sana. Of course, the big story iko hapa chini.
Yes.
Wanasema Gachagua takes his burdens to the Lord. Hapa. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua maintained his planned ouster was against the will of the people. Even as the National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula waded into the raging debate on the push to impeach the Deputy President. Impeachment loading, defining week for Ruto and Gachagua feud. That's the Daily Nation. There's another story here. MPs are questioning 337 million shillings splashed on the national dress and Kiswahili Day. So members of parliament have taken the government to task over the questionable expenditure under the State Department of Culture, the Arts and Heritage, saying it may have been designed to loot from the public. It's about 337 million shillings. Zimekunywa maji sabio national dress yoni mukipata anytime soon.
Yes.
That's the Daily Nation.
Itaeleweka, ndio taarifa kuu kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Wasema Spika Wetangula asema yuko tayari kwa hoja ya kumtimua Gachagua inayotarajiwa kutua bungeni kesho. Sasa Wakenya, huyu Spika Wetangula ndiye referee katika
masuala haya ya
bunge la kitaifa. Sasa kama referee ashasema hii match mimi nishaamua hivi. Ishaenda hivi. Haja gani ya okay. Ni mtihani huu wanasema itarajiwa kuwa wiki ngumu zaidi kwa naibu wa rais, huku Rais Ruto akitazamiwa kuandaa mkutano wa wabunge kuamua hatima ya naibu wake. Lakini swali kuu ambayo mtakuwa mnaangazia ni je, mkutano huu utakuwa na manufaa upi? Na manufaa yapi hayo?
Anasema kitaeleweka. Kuna masuala ya spoti pale. Kinda wa Chelsea anaitwa Palmer aweka rekodi baada ya kutinga mabao 4 kipindi cha kwanza. Lakini pale Man United hata bao moja nyumbani hawampati.
Hata usiende hapo. On a Monday, we shouldn't be, you need a very strong starter pack. Other conversations pale chini, while they go that title deed that have been stolen, hati miliki 367 zaibwa katika wizara. Kwingineko Azimio, Ruto anatumia udikteta, and you realize it's been a minute since we saw Raila's name
in Azimio.
And even in the front pages,
kwa social media.
Squeezy kwa gazeti, Raila...
You know, he's no longer ODM leader. He's a former ODM party leader. And finally, Matters Business revealed half of farms failed to pay corporate tax. So as a taxman continues to try and get more money, KRA data shows 171,000 plus of those that filed returns paid. Low compliance rate signals deeper losses and avoidance. Nearly half of active companies that filed annual returns in the year to June did not pay taxes on corporate earnings, pointing to deepening losses and elevated prevalence of tax avoidance. So yes, shida pale inaendelea. Meanwhile, Netflix dragged into suit over free money film shot in Kenya. Netflix is entangled in a legal suit where the producers of a documentary aired by the US streaming giant are accused of commercially exploiting poor Kenyans whose lifestyle is captured in the film. That's another story on the front page of the Business Daily. So hiyo ndo masuala kubwa kubwa. Tuangalie karakacha sasa.
Yes, this is the standard yeah. Gamzo's take, and they have this gentleman here who resembles the Prime Cabinet Secretary as well as...
Is that one because I can see his briefcase is foreign and diaspora?
Yes, and he's holding two briefcases, moja affairs, ingine foreign and diaspora. Okay. And pahali ametoka ilikuwa formerly JKIA, and it has Adani written on top of it. And where he's heading, we don't know. But he's saying diplomacy to enhance our accountability locally and seal pacts.
And he's been very busy.
Yes, yoyote ni deals. So,
you know, we rarely get to see Mudavadi on the cartoons. So he's back. Could this be an indication of his rising star? Unajua sasa kutakuwa na vacancy. Na kuna argument, nani anapata hii kazi?
Yes.
So whoever chose to put Mudavadi's face here is just trying to remind us, even when you're thinking of other people,
kuna huyu.
Musisahau yuko hapa.
Yes.
Cartoon on the Nation. Campaigns and promises are crossroads. So the government of Kenya wako na road show pale, hata bunge wako na road show pale, na mwamua wote ni campaigns. Promises hata wamesahau hiyo maneno, mtaenda mujipange mbele. And then kuna mlima,
hiyo barabara ya campaigns kuna potholes by the way.
Alafu kuna kamlima pale.
Oh, yes. Wanaelekea Guza Murima.
Wameguza mlima.
On People Daily, Stano's stick, this gentleman here, Adani, is caught entangled. Yes. And the commentator anasema Adani trying to put things straight. Well, it's a done deal.
Adani is a done deal either way. So,
and finally,
hiyo nyingine ya star tukuipata leo, but tunaweza angalia on page 3, we do have the physical paper. It is Rigathi Gachagua holding on to the seat which is under fire, on fire actually, and is saying, I'm going nowhere.
Na ameshikilia hivi context.
Well, that's a cartoon today. Let's come back and take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi, because by now I'm sure it's building up nicely.
Kwanza pale
kuna mali ulikuwa umenotice hapa hivi Zambezi, but it's cleared up. Let's come back and take a look at Ruiru. At Ruiru there, we can see it's building up slowly towards town, but it's clearing also just before you get to that bypass, the northern bypass. Further down past Githurai, it's building up slowly. Nukifika pale kwa Pangani interchange, you do expect that bottleneck between Kiambu Road and Thika Road. It's a clear dark red, so it's building up really fast as at 6:30.
Surprisingly, hapo Kasarani Stadium hakuna
watu washaenda home. Watu washatoka, ndio hapa Kasarani Mwiki wameenda. Ndio hao wamesimama kwa jamu hapa Utarini.
Hapo.
On Jogoo Road, areas around Makadara, Mbotela area, it's building up nicely. Hapo ukipita St. Stephen's Jogoo Road towards City Stadium roundabout, it's building. So that's normal Monday traffic. Other areas, southern part of the city, the expressway is looking clear this morning all the way into town. Langata Road too looking good, and Jogoo Road as well. Nothing out of the ordinary. Tuangazie inaitwaje Wayakiwe. Pale ABC Place, just before you get to ABC Place, zile bumps pale Nairobi School, hapo kidogo, but nothing much to report. So the only big traffic situation is around Pangani Interchange and Jogoo Road, which is normal traffic for a Monday.
Right.
Yes.
You had mentioned the Prime Cabinet Secretary, I just remembered, on our diary as well. He will be at the School of Government today, so he'll be launching your State Department, yake, for diaspora and all that. They'll be launching a particular strategic plan. So we'll also be following up on that, among other political activities on our news diary. That and a lot more coming up on State of the Nation after this short break, and then Monday Blitz coming up later on. This particular day, the question that they're going to be asking you, do you think Man City will defend the EPL title? Walishikiliwa na Newcastle in a 1-1 draw. So it's going to be an interesting EPL season continuing forward. All that, talk to us. 22047 is our SMS number. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. Weka remote hapo chini, usiende mbali.
All right.
June 2024, nationwide protests broke out in Kenya, opposing the 2024 Finance Bill. As the situation threatened to get out of hand, police officers were deployed to quell the unrest. Among them, Chief Inspector David Maina. Then hell broke loose. An explosive device went off, ripping off his forearms. He survives to tell the story.
I removed the pin, but there was, I don't know, there was some resistance. That pin, there was some problem with removing the pin. When it finally got off, and then I was just about to throw my stun grenade, I just saw darkness.
Join TV47's Lennox Sengre as he brings you an exclusive interview with Chief Inspector David Maina.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Freddie Ndimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big story. And of course, there's no bigger story this week than the looming impeachment of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. He is on all the front pages today in a kneeling position. They say Rigathi is seeking divine intervention to avert impeachment. That's on the front page of the Star. MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. That's a standard. Kwenye Taifa Leo anasema kitaeleweka, na kuna picha pale ya rais na naibu wake wakiangalia pande tofauti. Spika Wetangula asema yuko tayari kwa hoja ya kumtimua Gachagua inayotarajiwa kutua bungeni kesho. Magazeti mengine kwenye habari hii, on the People Daily, they say why Gachagua needs prayers, with the same picture of the Deputy President kneeling in church. And on the Daily Nation, asema impeachment loading, defining week for Ruto Gachagua feud. Gachagua takes his burdens to the Lord. That's the Daily Nation. This morning we're privileged to have our full Monday panel. It's been a while, so it's really good to see Dr. Mumbi Ngaru back. Dr. Ngaru served as at East Africa Legislative Assembly as Member of Parliament and also served as Mayor of Thika Town. Karibu sana, Dr. Ngaru. It's good to have you back.
Asante sana.
Yes.
I want to thank my colleagues the last one, Waziri, made an effort to find out why I am missing in action. Thank you for their support and prayers. I lost about 4 people. And now I'm back in form and ready to engage. Thank you.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
We do have Samuel Pogisio, ICT Minister in the Kibaki II administration, also served as Senate Majority Leader in the 12th Parliament. Karibu sana, Bwana Pogisio.
Very much.
Philip Kisia, who has also been missing in action, is back, a leadership and governance expert, and also served as town clerk of this great city of Nairobi. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back. And last but definitely not least, Kipruto Rapkirwa, Agriculture Minister in the Kibaki I administration. Karibuni sana.
It's my pleasure.
So yes, before we even get to the issues around the Deputy President and the looming impeachment, because that will take a huge chunk of our time, I'd want us to focus on the main headline on the front page of the Daily Nation: stolen title deeds mystery deepens. 2 conflicting statements: stolen security papers and infiltration of the government printer, have exposed how daring corruption cartels raided an installation supervised by State House and revealed the extent of land fraud in the country. Now, when it comes to land, it's a very thorny issue. And when we see such headlines, and we thank the Daily Nation for giving this story prominence, of course, the discussion could very easily be drowned by the story of impeachment. You owned land, Dr. Ngaru. You've been a mayor of Thika Town, and you know what it means to have such documents stolen. What can you say about this kind of headline on a Monday morning?
Fred, is a sad affair. And land is a very emotive issue. Every one of us understand that in every part of the country, in towns, in cities, we have had land issues for a long, long time. So when such documents are lost, stolen, or whatever else, it's taking impunity to another level. And from where I sit, not only about the title deeds, we have so much going on in the country. And as we handle those issues, there is a big thing happening as far as I'm concerned. And somebody is folding the country like you fold a carpet, like you fold a blanket, and just fitting it at the boot of your car.
And you drive off.
And you drive off. Do we have a country? Do we have a country?
Very serious question there.
Yes, so all those other things are sideshows, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, the government has clarified that no title deed was stolen. Now there's conflicting statements from the Ministry of Lands and from the government printers. The government printers notified the public through a Gazette notice saying that 365 documents, and they gave even the serial numbers, were missing. Now the Ministry of Lands comes and says, okay, those were not title deeds, they're just documents. But either way, it opens up room for a lot of land fraud. And that is what could be the biggest concern for Kenyans, Bwana Pogisio. We've been talking so much about digitization of land registration and documents, but we are not there yet. So when such documents are stolen, Kenyans are right to be very anxious, aren't they?
Fred, from the time when I was Minister for Information, we decided that time that all land records should be digitized for the safety of everybody. And the people there have been very slow. If you don't want to commit monies for it, it cannot be done. And I think it's always the advantage of the thieves to have records not digitized. And we will take a long time. It's an open secret that corruption around the lands ministry has been forever. Cartels, and big people also targeting lands. There's this notion that you must always, you can take advantage of your offices, these kind of things. So I do not see a situation where we are determined to digitize completely. They will always say, we are close to, nobody is really saying let's digitize. The same thing that's happening in the counties. Exactly. It should be easy to digitize now. But it's very unfortunate that we are arguing about the same thing. Whether titles are stolen or security documents for printing titles are stolen, it's the same thing. It is still something is going to be lost in the whole thing. Somebody has already stolen the documents for security documents for printing. They can go and do it now. So the whole argument should be how safe is the land under our Ministry of Lands? How safe is in private land, in those lands, or even public lands? Because we should be able to be told. Why would then the ministers come, the minister and the PS come out and try to defend that it was entitled this? Does that mean that the government printer doesn't know the difference between a title deed and the security document for printing title deeds? For them, we're arguing about the same thing. Yeah. It is scary to hear that land titles are lost in the hands of government officials.
Okay. Yeah. And Bonakisia, definitely for the person in charge of the government printers, he was concerned enough to issue a Gazette notice about the loss of this security documents. But for the Ministry of Lands to come out and say, okay, fine, don't worry, those were not title deeds, it's just some documents that can be used to print title deeds, surely, who's fooling who?
Fred, I don't know why Kenyans are surprised that a security document, a very, very important document, like a title deed, is a security document, can be treated as tissue paper by those in charge of those documents. And I'm specifically talking about the minister, or the CS in charge of lands, and the PS in charge of lands. They are treating this matter so lightly and casually. It is not a document that you joke with. It's like joking with currency. These are security documents, an ID, a birth certificate. But why are you shocked anyway, Fred? You are dealing with a government full of people who have an appetite for government land. We should not be talking about lost documents. We should be asking those in charge of this government, whether broad-based or not, how much public land we've lost in the process. I think that's the big question that we must be asking ourselves. Forget about the paper is important. Land has disappeared. And I will not be surprised if tomorrow you are told, you know, those documents that disappeared, some land disappeared. So Kenyans need to be alert. How can you lose a security document? And in my view, by now, if I was in charge of this country, if I was the president of this country, by now, I would have fired the CS, I would have fired the PS, I would have fired that fellow at the government printers called Hassan Ali. These people should be in jail unless the president knows what is happening. It is not a simple matter that you can just wish away, that those are documents that are not important, you know, and so on and so forth. I think we are running this government in a very, very casual manner, and this needs to stop yesterday.
Bonakirwa, you've been trending on social media this past weekend talking about how some years back a senior politician had made away with a huge chunk of some land in the city. These are the same things we're talking about, that possession of title deeds could very well end up in wrong hands very easily, including for public land. Yeah. Don't you think that this could also be an attempt towards that direction?
Yeah, Fred, it worries me because I would have also wanted to know the details under which those documents got lost, whether they were titles or documents that titles would be printed on or whatever it is.
nonetheless, a government printer ought to be a more secure place than many of our homes. And for a title deed to be lost or any document is a matter that you should be worried. It was not just a big politician, it is the current president who in his early days decided to allocate himself the processional road, the road that comes from Serena all the way to State House. And of course in 2003 when NAC took over power, he knew that his days are numbered. And what he did was to return the titles to the Ministry of Lands, and of course later on the processional way was done. Because you remember there used to be some kiosks around there. Then in his own wisdom, he decided to get a number of titles in different names. And he went to a financial institution, picked some money, and the life went on. And that's why at times we tell Kenyans, people don't change overnight. No office can change the character of an individual. In fact, it displays the worst of that particular character. So for Kenyans to have elected the current president, knowing very well that is what happened, and nobody doubts, it was even in the media when he was handing over the titles. And but then we've chosen to forget that he did that. So he's gone large scale. The Adani 3, the carbon credit, and many other parcels of land that he has put into his own use is just a part of that consistent character, that he has huge appetite for land that does not belong to him.
All right, stolen title deeds mystery deepens. It's a big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. And this is just a word of caution for any person dealing with the land registration or land title deeds, sale of land, and all matters around land going forward, that you should be extra careful, because there are documents making the rounds that are not necessarily the proper documents at the lands registry. That's a big headline, and at least the Daily Nation, we have to thank them for ensuring that this story is given prominence, because everyone else is talking about the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. So let's move on to that, which is a big discussion today. And I want us to start off with what I'm seeing on the front page of Taifa Leo. Gazeti la Taifa Leo lazungumzia swala hili, wanasema kitaeleweka. Spika Wetangula asema yuko tayari kwa hoja ya kumtimua Gachagua inayotarajiwa kutua bungeni kesho. Inatarajiwa kuwa wiki ngumu zaidi kwa naibu wa rais, huku Rais Ruto akitazamiwa kuandaa mkutano wa wabunge kuamua hatma ya naibu wake. Very well, members of parliament are within their right to impeach the deputy president or the president if they do so wish, and it is a mandate. My concern, and that's what I'm trying to gauge, is the comments attributed to the Speaker of the National Assembly. A week ago, we saw the deputy speaker come out and say publicly that they are going to impeach the deputy president. Now we're seeing the speaker, although he did not use or mention the name of the deputy president, he said mtu yeyote anayejaribu kuzua vurugu nchini kwa kuhubiri siasa za ukabila na I'm not getting that word, kimaeneo sharti azimwe. For the speaker to come out and talk about this, or even allude to this 2 days before an impeachment motion, which is already before his desk, he's the one to give approval, that leaves a lot to be desired, don't you think, Dr. Ngaru? He should be the referee in this.
Fred asked, do we have a country? That is the same question I'm asking myself. The referee is already, has blown his whistle, and he says these are the results, even before the members of parliament do their business. It's a very scary time for this country. I don't know whether the standing orders of parliament have been changed, but those of us who have been in parliament know that you cannot, as a speaker, transact the business of the house outside the house. Now it's in the marketplaces, I'm sorry to say to Speaker Wetangula and the lady Deputy Speaker that they are transacting the businesses of the assembly in marketplaces. And therefore the impunity is all over. I am not a fan of the Deputy President, but principles are principles. It is sad for this country. And this is why I'm saying I'm convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that as we sort out title deeds and we sort out the impeachment motion and we sort out schools and strikes and whatever else, somebody is folding the country and everything that is in it, like the way we fold a blanket. And by the time we are through with the impeachment motion and sorting out the title deed and sorting out whatever else, will be fitted into somebody's boot of a car or a bus, and that person will be the driver and will drive this country to the destination that they want. So it's deeper than just those market things.
Yeah.
That a person of a speaker's stature can carelessly transact the business of the House in a marketplace. It's like a doctor, you know, operating in an open air. So for me, this confusion, it tells me something different.
Right.
And it is sad. From where I am, I've always had hope for this country. My hope is getting really down. I am telling you, it's getting really down.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Apogisio, when the National Assembly sits to consider an impeachment motion, it adopts an almost quasi-judicial nature. You've been a leader of majority. Is it normal for the Speaker of the House to go out and talk about such matters, whether directly or indirectly?
Fred, the word normal does not exist anymore. We have a new normal where, you know, we've lost control of institutions. The line existing between the legislature and the executive has completely disappeared now. And the executive, I mean, the legislature behaves like the executive. And absolutely, there's no hope for this country. Look, when the deputy president, when the deputy speaker, Ms. Bosch Cholet, spoke in her local village, and she put a man called Gachagua on notice. Even just the respect of referring to him as a vice president or deputy president of Kenya was lost. And for a deputy speaker who is going to preside to even give a warning and say she would be in charge, personally in charge of that impeachment, that's a judge for you. I don't know what your hope is in that situation. Then now comes the speaker himself. My question has been, why would a speaker want to prove to the villagers that he's a very powerful person? Why would they have to do that? When it's known that you're a speaker. But for this particular case, this is a mistrial, in my view. And actually, this can be used against the impeachment itself.
Yes.
Because a judge can't tell you in advance, I'm going to jail you for 30 years, and you have not even appeared for the first appearance. And so it's going to be also used against them, and that's why they should always be careful. The separation should be the National Assembly, for example. Surely, why would you know exactly you're the ones responsible for the beginning of this impeachment? The Senate comes thereafter. You have not heard anything about it in the Senate. No Speaker of the Senate. The Speaker of the Senate or Deputy has spoken. So we need to call out the National Assembly and say, are you really serious about this impeachment? You already make a joke out of it. It's as though it is not the members of parliament who are going to vote. It's as though it's going to be decided by the chair, the outcome of this thing. And that is already wrong. I mean, you can't do that. You're already demeaning your members.
Okay.
And then I also need to ask members of parliament of this country, when the deputy speaker spoke those words, how come nobody has censured the deputy speaker? Even now, nobody has censured the speaker. Because the speaker holds that office courtesy of these members. They're not as powerful as they think, by the way. They hold it because they were elected by these members. And impeachment also can be started on them. And so I do want to ask Wetangula, who is a very seasoned politician and a lawyer, not to get excited about the power he has to do anything. He should not even have mentioned anything about that impeachment. It's supposed to be an arbiter, not the accuser and judge.
And you talk about excitement. There's definitely a lot of excitement among members of the National Assembly. Now, seeing this excitement get to the leadership of the House, beyond the majority leaders, the speakers of the House, that says a lot. And you've previously, Bonakesia, tried to advise the Deputy President. Would you probably advise the Deputy President to actually use this as grounds of challenging the process in itself, where the speakers have already declared their stand on the matter?
You know, Fred, I think just before I make my comment, I think I'm extremely excited. I don't know what happened in my absence, because I've not been here for 3 weeks. My fellow panelists are talking language that I am, is really confusing me. My senior brother here actually, he was short of calling the president a fraudster of land. And my sister here, who is part of the broad-based arrangement, is also attacking the same government. But then, having said that, if I were Gachagua, and I'm sure Gachagua has engaged good lawyers, a speaker is like a judge, is an arbiter, is an arbitrator, is a judge. Now a judge condemns you, actually passes a ruling in your absence in a village. When I listened to my brother, Moses Masika Wetangula, I was actually shocked. I was wondering whether this is the seasoned politician that I know, going back to the village to make certain pronouncements. Then I saw this girl, Gladys Boss Cholet, with us holding a spear and threatening and saying she's the defender of the head of state. And when she's there, nobody can touch William Samoei Arap Ruto. And I said, where are we getting to? Don't we have institutions that work? These are two very, very prominent people of the Kenya Kwanza government who are behaving as villagers. Then I remembered, you can remove a guy from the village because these two guys are villagers. Gladys Boss Cholet, a villager. Moses Masika Wetangula, a villager. They have been removed from the village. They have been brought in the city where there's, there are street lights. But they are still behaving like villagers. Then I remembered, but even their boss falls in the same category. That, because you see, if you have children in the house, you look at how the father is behaving, and you behave this in a similar way, in a similar fashion. So don't be surprised that the hens, the small, the babies are behaving this certain way. They are just copying. They are mimicking. They are mimicking the parent. If the parent was behaving in a civilized way, with the decorum, with culture, with civility, the children will follow suit. But I am not surprised even for a minute Moses Masika, a lawyer, Boss Cholet, Gladys, not just she's an advocate. These are highly trained people in matters to do with the law. And look at the way they are behaving. So since they have actually now proved my worst fears, they have confirmed that there is a problem between the ears. okay? That nothing is happening. I think they're just bees moving between the 2 years. So the bigger judge, who is the citizen of the Republic of Kenya, who has just, donated their powers. They have donated their powers, like my senior brother said, Pogisho. We have donated powers. MPs have donated to members of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. We have donated our powers to them. It is now time to recall this parliament, to send them home. Okay. Forget about Gachagua. We're going to talk about Gachagua. I think the first person we must send home is the captain.
All right. Before we come to Bonakirwa, let's take a short break and come back to discuss the conduct of the Speaker of the National Assembly, even with the looming impeachment of the Deputy President. You're watching Morning Cafe.
June 2024, nationwide protests broke out in Kenya, opposing the 2024 Finance Bill. As the situation threatened to get out of hand, police officers were deployed to quell the unrest. Among them, Chief Inspector David Maina. Then hell broke loose. An explosive device went off, ripping off his forearms. He survives to tell the story.
I removed the pin, but there was, I don't know, there was some resistance. That pin, there was some problem with removing the pin. When it finally got off, and then I was just about to throw my stun grenade, I just saw darkness.
Join TV47's Lennox Sengre as he brings you an exclusive interview with Chief Inspector David Maina.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Yes, it's going to be a very decisive week for the Deputy President and even his boss, President William Ruto, with that looming impeachment that's set to go before the National Assembly tomorrow. But before that, questions are being raised about the conduct of the Speaker of the National Assembly, who's already in... this motion is already before him. Speaker Moses Wetangula, he made a comment yesterday while somewhere in Western Kenya, and it is there on the front page of the Taifa Leo, and his deputy, Gladys Boss-Sholei, had made similar comments a week ago, and that is what we're trying to examine here. Bonakirwa, this is definitely something that could cost parliamentarians. They are very excited and eager and seeking to oust the deputy president, but their conduct and the conduct of the speaker and his deputy could actually come into question, don't you think?
Yeah, Fred, I think we are in a state of anarchy. You know, the very definition of anarchy is failure to comply with the rules and also failure to respect authority. Even whatever authority you bestowed upon you, if you don't respect it, then you are in a state of anarchy. And I think that's where the country is. But what worries me more is that we are polarizing the country in a way that anything happening today is become so tribal. I'm worried about that polarization because the two communities had a go at each other in 2007. And any repeat of that kind of hostility is not going to be very healthy for us politically as a nation and as two communities, the Kalenjin and the Akikuyu. It is something that we are underrating it, but the ground is not as good as that. Now, the third issue, which I think is very important, is the advice given by my two colleagues, the Honorable Pogisho and Philip Kisia, that the Deputy President now has a perfect opportunity to go to a court of law and say, okay, the arbiter has already pronounced himself on the decision that members of parliament are supposed to make. The second opportunity he has, once the motion is moved, is to inject it before it is taken to the Senate. Because in the National Assembly, I think they need about 232, and in the Senate, it's 2/3 of the members of the Senate. So in between, he can inject it, and upon injecting it, as the case goes on, he should resign. Why? For him to have a political value. Because once he accepts to be impeached, and that becomes a really fait accompli, it is likely to cause a lot of trouble for him as a politician and for him as somebody that needs to still have political value in future. So that he will be negotiating when he can also be a candidate in the ballot. Because who tells you that every politician has certain constituency that he commands?
Don't you think that that is probably the kind of outcome that many members from the Kenya Kwanza side have been hoping for? That those who are wishing to impeach him maybe are not so confident about the grounds of impeachment, but they've been hyping up this story so much and issuing and shouting, verbalizing threats about the impeachment to force the deputy president into a corner where he feels scared enough to resign. Because probably they're not so sure about the success of the impeachment process?
Well, I have a feeling that while National Assembly has been talking about figures 260, those figures may not reach there. It may not even reach a threshold. But once he realizes the motion has been presented to the House, National Assembly for that matter, then he has an opportunity to inject it in between so that it does not get to the Senate. And in the meantime, once he realizes it has happened, because for those of us who know something that we don't really want to say now, is that the two of them, there is no love lost between them. They are totally at variance. And it's the same reason that I told them at the beginning of time, when I was still in UDA, that the two of you have similar character, and you may not last 5 years. The president knows that. I told him, I told Koskei, I told Chirchir, I told Agasin Cheruyot, that this thing is not going to last for 5 years because the two of them have compatible character and they are not compatible. And that is where this challenge is. But what worries me more is that he told us Uhuru Kenyatta was bad. We accepted. And we voted against Raila because Raila was seen to be a Uhuru candidate. Now he's telling us Rigi is bad. Two sons from the same region? If you marry the first wife and you chase her away that she's not good, when you marry the second one, be careful. When you chase her, it means you are the person in charge of that particular problem.
Right.
Yep.
Well, the deputy president is not sitting quietly. He's been really fighting back, and he insists that he's not going to resign. We see some indications that the president has called for a meeting, a parliamentary group meeting for MPs tomorrow, probably. There are indications that he may try to save his deputy, probably because of the political implications of an impeachment. But the MPs are also adamant that they have come so far, they're not about to stop. The deputy president also says he's digging in and he says he's not going to resign. Do you agree with Bona Kirwa that probably the deputy president should be careful enough not to sit through a successful impeachment?
Fred, from this forum, some few weeks ago, I mentioned about a curve that was taking place to sort out Mount Kenya region. and allow me to be a villager because I'm living in Kiambu and I sit with our people. This is designed to sort out the same thing that the Deputy President has been talking about. It hasn't been okay to the rest of the country for the Deputy President to be talking about 47%, to come out on national television talking about you can touch anybody else but don't touch. We are the majority shareholders of this government. So his pronunciations were not attracting building a nation. And then the members of parliament we have from our region are not of the caliber that can debate national issues. And therefore, most of them, over 90%, are people who are asked to jump, and they ask how high when they are already on air. And we saw it coming a long time ago. And as I joined my colleague, Waziri, the chemistry from the word go was telling that they share so many things in common. Not just about the okay, I'm trying to be nice like him. The character, the history, they are warriors. Warriors in anything, whether it's appetite. I'm trying to be nice. Appetite of power and wealth, and doesn't matter where it comes from. We are all good business people, you know. So he's already been captured, and now it's time to dismantle him. What he doesn't know, and I'm saying I'm going to speak as a villager, on the ground in the Mount Kenya region, remove members of parliament, remove Senate, the ground is with the DP. Yes, the ground, even inside the churches, they are with him. I don't know how they will react, but it is going to be messy. If there was ever a messy divorce, it's going to be this one. And remember, I belong to a different party. Now, my colleague, Philip Kizia, is always taunting me that I'm in the broad-based. And I'm telling him, I am not going to deny it. You know, I have lipstick on my, on my lips. It's like you have taken nyama.
It's enough evidence.
And the evidence is on your lips. So the affairs inside, and I think because of the Deputy President holding the ground as it is now, he has that courage to say, I'm not going anywhere. From the ground, and I'm telling you as a villager, the members who will vote from the mountain to remove the Deputy President have got no lading base. In their constituents, in their counties, it's going to be messy.
Wow.
And if they are not careful, they may not do any other business of development anywhere in marketplaces. They may find it very difficult to transact their parliamentary affairs in the constituency. But the warrior spirit in the deputy president, if I were him, I would tame it for the sake of the country. There was once a vice president who said the country is bigger than an individual. And like my colleague say, I hope he has a strong legal team. I also hope he has a very strong political mix of people around him who would advise him about some pronunciations. Like, even if I wanted to advise him, then a lady from my place just comes on television and says, we have been praying that one day we will wake up and Raila Odinga is no more. You know, even if I really wanted to sympathize, and then you are attacking my boss and you want him dead, I feel like he should select his people who are doing the business, the warriors, the soldiers behind him. They're not doing him any good. And therefore he needs a good balance between the legal team and the political team and his religious team. Because this is also a spiritual war for the whole country. We are facing some spiritual war as a country.
And talking of spiritual, the deputy president was in church yesterday. That picture of him kneeling was somewhere in church in Meru. But tomorrow the president may be meeting members of his parliamentary team just ahead of the impeachment. Definitely, some of those concerns that Dr. Ngaru talks about, the president is very much aware that the ground in that region may be shifting towards the deputy president. Now, that delicate balance, it's up to the president to work with. Rigathi Gachagua has already asked that he be allowed to work and complete the 5-year term that they got. But do you think it's tenable for this relationship to continue in any form or shape for another, even 1 year, given the kind of comments that we're hearing? We even had chance of Ruto must go at a meeting where the deputy president was. Is there any possibility that there could be any remedy for this relationship that has already been severed?
Fred, the country is at a crossroads. The country is in a very bad financial situation. The country is angry and hungry. And the political class is trying to display some kind of okayness. It's fine. They want to show us that life is just a normal life. No, the people are not happy. So you cannot use any situation right now. You will excite the wrong people. And when people get angry at this point, how long will you hold on to that? You know, what political leadership doesn't see is the situation that the people find themselves in. And this constitution of ours, 2010, broadly says we the people are on top of all of you guys. But nobody seems to know that. Today, when you hear about the way the police treat Wananchi, it's like they have not come in contact with the Constitution 2010. Because, I mean, these are the people who hire you, these are the people who employ you, these are people who keep you in this place. The president, deputy president, are not caring about the local Wananchi that they went about saying they would care about. Today, as you walk on the street, don't provoke anybody. People are quick to anger. There is so much time. When I told you, I read the newspaper, and you see a lot of auction, properties being auctioned every day. You wonder what's happening in this country, and then we forget and introduce a political fight or conflict. The Archbishop of the ACK spoke yesterday, and I heard him clearly telling the president, please quell this thing, stop it. The people have other problems. Don't bring this one now. But because the political class here has become impervious to advice. By the way, nobody can advise all these guys you're talking about. You can't advise the president, his deputy, or even the parliament, even the speakers. You can't advise them. Because parliament knows, the speaker knows, that you cannot anticipate debate, for example. That's one of the rules he reads to people. He tells people, you can't anticipate debate. But there he is anticipating debate. And the government, as I know, has entered a situation now where they want to draw in the public. The public are tired. The public is tired. They don't have resources. Don't draw us now. You want us to forget our economic issues now because you're introducing another subject so that we can forget what's going on? No. People cannot forget. So let the president tomorrow sit to those guys and say, stop this thing. We're not ready for it. We can't handle the consequence of it. The outcome, we cannot handle. The outcome might look simple. Remove Gachagua. But what happens to the country after that? What happens? Do we care about that? So this is my plea to the president and his deputy. This may play out as though it's pitting two people, but no, the whole country is going to be drawn into this. And then the question is, where the numbers you're talking about, okay, 216, the number is required for presenting the bill, okay, for tabling the bill. But at the end of it, I don't know whether the votes will translate the same. Because as you debate to impeach somebody, it's an emotive issue. It will draw a lot of emotional support from people. Even people from places you least expected. Because what has this guy done so bad that the whole country should be excited about removing?
But listening to the deputy president speak even at his rallies, is it possible that they could still find a way to work together with the president for the next 3 years? Is it possible?
Because we are institutions. If we work like we are institutions, we can work. But now we are fighting like we're personal enemies. You know, we are fighting like it's a war of a personal nature. No. The office of the deputy president, by the way, he can sit there in his office and do his things. If you don't want to delegate anything to him, he will still be there. I mean, the president doesn't have to give him the duties. It is the president who promised that he will never see something like this happen again. And now it's happening. So I don't know. I think my advice would be, even if it is for a short time, stop this mess, stop this noise in the country. The country is getting too noisy politically. Let us try and deal with the economic and the security situation that we have at hand.
Okay. Bonakisia, the concern also is that the grounds for impeachment, many people are not convinced that these are proper grounds. Some of those listed include alleged corruption, alleged linkages to the Gen Z protests, failure to respect the boss. And one wonders, are these really impeachable offenses? There may be excitement and the numbers may be there in the National Assembly, but going by what you've heard so far, because we're yet to see the motion, are you confident that what you've heard so far is impeachable?
You know, Fred, I mean, the allegations are serious, okay? But where's the evidence? Because we go by evidence. We don't want hearsay. These two people, William Samoei Arap Ruto and Gachagua, Reggie, they have one marriage certificate. They both signed. So they are joined at the hip. So they should stop dragging us into their pig's fight so that we can, you know, as Pokisha said, so that we can remove our attention from the main issues, the theft going on in this government. they want to steal our airport. They want to steal our resources. Then they are trying to divert attention. We have our eyes on the ball. Now let's look at some of the allegations that are being thrown around. I can tell you, Fred, is like a thief pointing at another thief.
Yeah.
These characters are saying that Rigathi Gachagua, the principal assistant to our president, has stolen in 2 years 5.7 billion shillings. Where was the president when this money was being stolen? How was it stolen? How come action was not taken? They are saying it did not happen overnight. It happened over 2 years. They have actually confirmed my worst fears, that we are dealing with an incompetent president. Is he telling me that with all the institutions that we have, ESCC that fights corruption, DCI, economic crime, and so on and so forth, they did not dictate this crime? Then they are talking about diversion of materials meant for a Kilifi Malindi road into some private road where he has an interest. Then I ask myself, but we've read in the papers that Western Hotel is taking all the contracts, government contracts. What's the difference? Maybe this one is stealing roads, that one is stealing food. Then I ask myself, the other allegation is that he sponsored the Gen Z. Why are they exposing our NIS that is respected globally? They are saying that our NIS were unable to pick this particular serious crime in advance and advise the president to take action. And I know for sure, for certain, that the president reads the intelligence reports every morning. Are they saying, are they confirming what Rigiji told us, that we have an incompetent DG at NIS? Because NIS, that's their job, to foresee this, to forestall, to advise. But we have a deputy sitting in the security committee who is planning with the Gen Zs, who is financing the Gen Zs, and is sitting there and no action is taken. Is it that our NIS failed? Are they confirming that Rigiji was right? Finally, the other accusation I've seen, tribalism, that Rigiji is a tribalist. What tribalism are they talking about? A man has just said, 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. And I personally support that one. It's nothing. The old Kenyans were just saying, he's saying that the resources must be shared equally. Okay? So then I ask myself, if Rigiji is a tribalist for saying every Kenyan should get 1 shilling, and every Kenyan has 1 vote, the President of the Republic of Kenya, my very good friend, if you see 50% of the appointments are from his backyard, who is a bigger tribalist? Rigiji, who is just propagating, who is saying, please, if you have money to share, 1 each. And the one who is appointing 50% of government from his backyard. Who is the biggest tribalist? One is talking and spitting, and one is doing things, keeping quiet. They are both thieves.
Wanakirwa,
tribalist.
If this impeachment, because you're saying you're advising the deputy president to inject the process once it's successful in the National Assembly. But listening to Wanakirwa, yes, Kisia, it could be successful in the National Assembly because of the numbers and the kind of excitement that the members already have towards this impeachment. But if at all the allegations can be challenged in a court of law, because probably they were not impeachable offenses, and maybe because this is a political issue that is trying to be dealt with in a legal manner. Yes. Would you go back on your advice and tell the deputy president, no, go through this, challenge it in court?
Well, my worry about taking it to court after it has happened is what Waititu did. Governor Waititu waited, and once the thing went through Senate, by the time he wanted to go to court, his deputy had already been sworn in. So it can easily be choreographed in a way that the National Assembly does finish in the afternoon, and the Senate takes over. because this is not, it's not more about the institutions, takes over the impeachment. They complete by 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock at night, a deputy president is appointed by the president. In the morning, he's sworn in. We've known in this system that at times some things are done in reverse. Remember, Duale released the military to the street. Then the following day, they did whatever they were saying approval post facto. And yet, there is no evidence of that meeting in the answered up to now. Because answered is supposed to be a report that gives verbatim what transpired in the National Assembly. Up to now, if you Google, if you check, you not get that particular report. So anything can happen, and that's why the deputy president ought to be cautious. I'm saying that because not because I have a lot of love lost between me and him, but because I believe we must respect institutions. The moment these two gentlemen came together, and the majority of MPs had voted in favor of Professor Kindiki, but the president himself seemed to have been so hell-bent on allowing Rigji to be his deputy. Because that particular morning, it was a Sunday, and we were there. Rigji appeared with his spouse, and he had already a speech. The other two gentlemen and the lady, Alice Waome, appeared almost later without their spouses, which means this thing was already choreographed for certain considerations. And those considerations perhaps have expired, and therefore the divorce. There was the other question that you asked. Is it possible to resolve the dispute between the two? The answer is yes. There is nothing that cannot, in terms of negotiation, there is nothing that cannot be resolved. The only thing that is very difficult to resolve is an issue about belief. I don't think the two of them have different beliefs. This possibly war may be about resources. And war about resources, they can be told, steal yours, let him steal his, as you go ahead until the next general election. But in fact, the people I feel should be vilified are Kenyans themselves. Why do they have short memory for people that we've known over the period to have been doing certain things? And of course, finally, on this particular issue, is that now we need to understand. The president himself said it was Ford Foundation. Later on, he said Uhuru Kenyatta. Now it is Rigji who sponsored the GNCs. And already has gone to Ford Foundation and made the CEO of that particular organization. And it seems they were so in some happy mode. Why doesn't he also meet the other two, Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigji, and make peace? Because it seems there must be somebody generating propaganda for the president. Remember, in the days of Hitler of Germany, there was a man called Paul Joseph Goebbels who did a lot of propaganda for Hitler. And when Hitler surrendered power to him, he realized the propaganda had ran out. He committed suicide and poisoned his family, the entire family, 6 children, the wife, and he committed suicide himself. So I don't know who's going to commit suicide in this case. Either the president or the people, the cabal of opportunists around him who are giving him a lot of negative propaganda about other Kenyans.
If you look at social media, all members of the National Assembly insist this is a done deal. They will definitely impeach the deputy president. So let's leave that for now and look at post-impeachment. A successful impeachment happens. Rigathi Gachagua is no longer deputy president. Then what? It's a new headache for the president. Is it a done deal that the next deputy president would still come from Mount Kenya region? I'm saying this with the knowledge that now ODM has been very helpful in ensuring that they get the numbers that they're now excited about to carry out a successful impeachment. ODM could just as well demand their pound of flesh and say, this seat is ours. Dr. Ngaru.
Fred, I said this is bigger than what we are seeing. And if I were to be asked, the president should exercise wisdom and pull out his best. I know he had a very frosty relationship with his former boss as deputy president. And for the sake of the country, a Matiang'i came in. I don't know who the Matiang'i could be. And like my colleague said, set him aside. Let him be going to the office to read newspapers. Make sure he is immobile because he doesn't have funds to go around the country, even to his, maybe you can push him to his region doing churches and harambes and women, you know. And if he has got the shock absorbers to withstand that kind of humiliation, then the country will still go on. But even post-impeachment, the country is not going to settle. That one is my feeling, that the country is not going to settle. And it may just begin to be a free fall in many areas. And I can see a big problem between the mountain region and some areas of the country. ODM has exercised wisdom. When it is necessary, we say we are not in government. I'm sure you have heard it. Mm-hmm. When it is necessary, we have lipstick. And because we are aware that our party carried the monkey during Kibaki's regime, and we have also carried the monkey during Uhuru's time. This time around, we will not carry anybody's monkey. So strategically, those who are in government can do government thing, but the party itself has a different way of dealing with that business. We are not in a celebration mood.
Yet we saw quite some excitement when this broad-based government was being created. We talked about it here, the kind of excitement especially coming from the ODM side, that now we are in government. And we've heard those statements even from sitting members of the National Assembly, that now we are in government. Going forward, 2027 is looming. The president without Mount Kenya, based on what Dr. Ngaru explained to us, will definitely be weakened relatively to how he was previously. ODM has been known to take advantage of such weak positions before, even when it was Daniel Arap Moi himself. Are we saying that they've changed now, that the tactic will be different? Borapogisi.
Well, first of all, anyway, ODM, by the way, has come of age now. It's become one of the biggest parties in the country, if not, and the oldest now, apart from KANU. I think it's the second oldest party. And they have a leadership that is very well respected. And I hope that their decision to then live in a kind of diabolic life, which is those in government work for government, and those outside government can still continue to behave like they're independent and that they are in the opposition. That is a very difficult balance for any political situation, so just wish them very well. My problem is that if you remove the deputy president now and he's from Mount Kenya, can you really replace him with somebody from Mount Kenya? Is that really feasible? And if I were from Mount Kenya, I don't think I would take that position if I were given at this particular time under the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because look at it. You have poisoned the people, and then you are appointed as the deputy president to replace another person from the same area. How would that work? Even if you're very ambitious, that will be the end of your political career. And you will have a very uphill task in trying to perform your duties. And so I will not think, and I think the president knows that if you remove DP Gachagua now, he is very unlikely to return this to that place. And if the people of the mountain know that, they will know exactly how to behave. Why not? Why would you do that? Even if let's talk about Ichung'wa or whoever is fighting to become the deputy president, or Nyoro, or even Kindiki himself, you can make it very difficult for yourself. Why would you want to go through that? These are serious taxpayers. The people of the mountain are very serious taxpayers. They support this government. They are very hardworking people. They build the economy and hold the economy of this country. Why would you want to treat a region like that with contempt? That's very, very difficult political decision the president has to make. So, in my view, I think when he calls these people tomorrow, the president will probably try and silence his own soldiers and tell them, no, he better persevere with this Gachagua for some time, buy time. Because right now, it's not easy to do that. The other thing which I wanted to just add, because it is very difficult for me to be conclusive about a system that I don't understand. If it was during our time when we understood what was happening, this one is difficult to understand. Because these people who are shouting, crucify him, and they're trying to force the president to do that, are the same people who said they must pass the finance bill. It's the same people. And they sound like they are in charge. But look what happened with the finance bill. When the president withdrew, they were the same people who were clapping behind the president. I mean, this is a group of people that their emotions and their decisions cannot be relied upon. And so I'm not so sure that they're as serious as they think they are about impeaching him. So if the president comes today and say, no, they will clap again. They will be the same clapping. So let's leave this to a situation which we have known.
Okay.
We have a very interesting group of people that actually are in charge of our legislature. But let me just hope that the noise, political noise in this country, needs to go down, because the real situation, the problem of the country, the real thing that you cannot take out of these people is the economic and the security situation in the country.
Okay. It's only been 2 years of this administration. Now, if the president loses his deputy and has to appoint a new one, it will definitely have serious consequences, even for his plans. Remember, ODM is in the mix. Do you feel like the rest that it would be easier for him to stay with Rigathi Gachagua for the next 3 years?
I think there would be no difference, Fred. Because if you look at the political architecture that we currently have in the Kenya Kwanza regime, it's an architecture that the architect, William Ruto, has formulated. He's the one who has designed it. And anybody who is in that arrangement is just a puppet. So he can decide which puppet to play, which position at any given time. Now, let me just, again, on that note, comment on what my senior brother said. You are dealing, and for lack of a better word, you are dealing with buffoons who have buffoonery tendencies. That asked to turn right, they turn right. Left, left. Okay? The only thing they wait for is gasoline. They wait for gasoline. Once the vehicles, once their bodies have been gassed, the vehicles just move automatically. So we're in a situation where the vehicle is moving. It's been put on free gear, just moving. And the master is somewhere with a remote controlling it. So even if Gachagua went today, yes, it may cause a bit of instability, political instability But there will be no difference if that puppet, Paul Gachagua, is removed and another puppet is replaced. So the guy is in full control of the entire game. He's in, all the people in that game are his puppets. All the people who are serving him are extremely weak by any imagination. They are weak financially. Gachagua, you know, the other day I saw my friend Rigiji, although I can't say he's really my friend, but it's somebody I know. And I've admitted publicly that I probably know William better than I know Rigiji. I saw him pleading with the president, saying, please, it is a 5-year marriage. Allow me to be with you so that we can eat together. We must eat this dinner together, breakfast together. For 5 years, you only allowed me to eat for 1 year. The second year, I've been starving. So, Fred, it is not about even serving the people. It is about eating. Gachagua has been stopped from eating. The husband is in a corner eating alone and throwing crumbs to the first wife, and has also invited another wife, and the children are just there, just, you know, all over. So this arrangement, the best medicine for this arrangement that we have is, you know, to make sure that we get them to pack, you know, because they are joined in the hip because I heard one of them saying that Gachagua should start packing his belongings from Karen. And I said, well, I think the same should be happening in State House. William should also start packing his belongings. At least Gachagua has confirmed that his belongings can fit in, he doesn't even need a pickup. I don't know whether William needs a truck. My point being that we have serious issues, economic issues that this country is facing. We have serious governance matters that we need to look at. And if they're trying to get us into this pig arrangement, the pig fight, so that we can stop focusing on that. Because we've been here, Fred, and we are talking about two individuals who are not interested in serving the people of Kenya. Their interest is to eat. We are forgetting that they're about to run away with our airport. Not just airports. We are forgetting that they are stealing half of the budget. We are forgetting that the health insurance program that they have brought is shrouded with a lot of mystique. We are forgetting that there's tribalism. We are forgetting that we have so many problems. We are now focusing on one or two individuals who mean nothing to us, who, even if they continue holding office, nothing will change. Whether you are Kalenjin, whether you are Luhya, whether you're nothing will change. Whether there's a broad-based government or not, nothing is going to change. The only time things will change is when change happens. The change will happen when the president, his number two, and their new wife are forced out of power. There's no other medicine.
Right. That could take some time. But as we come to the end of the show and as we continue commenting on this, it's only 2 years of this administration. There are so many serious issues that they are facing. All of these mega infrastructure projects, very serious shifts in how we run our country, have not taken off. Tomorrow, the first one, that's a social health insurance fund, is being rolled out officially. It is, as Bwanakisia says, it's shrouded in a lot of questions. There's also the new university funding model that has rendered at least 50% of eligible students to stay away from universities. So many questions about so many radical shifts that this administration has started but are yet to pick up. Now we are seeing that they are ready to kick out the number two. As you make your final comments, what is your assessment of this working? Is it incompetence, or did they chew more than they could handle? Did they bite more than they can actually chew?
Yeah, the challenge is, one, the president himself, as I've said before, is a micromanager, and he does not allow institutions and individuals presiding over those institutions to use their heads. He's the one who professes that he knows everything about each and every ministry. In that process, he makes people not think, but only be cautious that the boss is looking at them. And that is the main problem with this regime. At times, people talk about Kibaki in so many ways. But one thing that he did, he allowed ministers to be ministers and allowed ministers and PSS to work together where they are working together. And where there was a problem, you would be able to ease out whoever was the problem in that place without necessarily making so many phone calls. Now, as insofar as the next phase of things, there are two options. If the option of impeaching Rigathi does not succeed, they can still work together, and that is my recommendation. But if it succeeds and he himself is able to resign and become a political quantity for the next 3 years, it is going to be a serious realignment. And my suspicion is that the president has chosen to go to the year 2007, reincarnation of ODM of 2007. And he should be bold enough. If Raila is not winning in AU, he can withdraw him as a candidate and make him his deputy. That's the only stable system that is going to survive. Because the 80 members, the 60 members is going to lose from Central Kenya can be replaced by the 80 from ODM also. That is a bold decision, and I don't think Raila should say he cannot deputize the young man. Biden deputized Obama. Later on, he became the president. Oh. So for me, I feel the country is at a crossroads, and it is the same. Why am I saying ODM of 2007? Where they were saying 411, 41 tribes against one tribe. All this story, and when you look and you listen to the people making those statements, they are trying to put the Kikuyu community at a corner, isolate them, and make them fear of being isolated from the rest of the country. And what I know from the little history that I have done, it is not easy to isolate a community that has almost 50% of the national GDP when it comes to the Africans, and you leave the institutions. A community that comprises 25% of the voters of Kenya. A community that controls the city of Nairobi and its environs. You are only pretending. You cannot fight a community enough. Even a small community like the James, when you go for a community, you are going for a disaster. And the disaster is facing President William Ruto. He should make a decision tomorrow to call off the impeachment of Rigathi.
Okay. Finally, if you may address the president today, he has a big decision to make before tomorrow, as you make your final words.
I pray that the president, though he did not believe in the new constitution, that he respects it. I am not a member of their party, but I know pronunciations that he made. Having gone through what he went through with deputizing the retired president, if only he believed in the new constitution and pray for wisdom to save the country, he would adjust to accommodate individuals, including the deputy president, who is his partner. I pray that he doesn't look at the Mount Kenya region as one community he needs to sort out, like he pronounced himself even before he was elected. And I will say it, he said, you people don't have a problem with the Kikuyus like we do. Inafika pahali unatofautisha maneno. Chukua serikali kwanza, itakusaidia kusort out a community. That is a very, very dangerous thing. And if he's implementing it now, I pray that in his moment alone, maybe listen to his friend, colleague, the president of Rwanda. I know he's been there many times. And the ugly things that happened in Rwanda that the president of that country has managed shouldn't happen in this country. I pray that he believes that all of us are stakeholders in this country. And my worry is, I'm 65, but my children and my grandchildren, my brothers and sisters, I may belong to a different political party, but I come from the mountain. And that's home for me. And the people of that region are feeling the anger and remembering the journey that they've been put through. I was in ODM then, I'm still in ODM. There are things I wouldn't speak here. But I know that he knows what I know. Let him believe in the new constitution and have respect for every other community in this country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngaru. Bonapugisio, you only have about a minute.
Yeah, just to say that the country is grappling with a trust deficit, as we've said. The president should be building trust, not destroying it. He should be bringing in everybody on board. And I think maybe it's time to reconsider the things we said about BBI. Maybe it's about time that he thought about some of the consequences of that. I do want to think that Rigiji is prepared. In retrospect, I think he was very prepared for this break from the very beginning. It looks to me like he was. So when he started doing things for this region, he knew exactly that this was coming. I mean, if you live with the person, you get to know how they behave so early. And I think he knew what it was, and I think also the president knew about him. But the best for the country, stop it, and let's move forward.
Okay. Finally, Bonakisa, your parting shot.
Dear Kenyans, smell the coffee. Don't be dragged into this mad pig's fight. This dysfunctional government is a waste of time. Just smell the coffee, know you're being taken for a ride. Focus, and focus on things that make sense, like the government trying to sell our heritage, to sell and steal our resources, including bringing in some Indian from called Adani.
Right.
Careful, Kenyans.
Thank you so much, Philip Kisia. And indeed, in the next 24, 48 hours, we'll know the truth. Will Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua be impeached by the National Assembly? Will the President, in that planned meeting, parliamentary group meeting at State House, manage to contain his members and ensure that they change their mind about impeaching the Deputy President? Only time will tell. Thank you so much, my panelist, Philip Kisia, leadership and governance expert, who has also served as a town clerk of this great city of Nairobi. Kipruto Kirwa, who has been a member of parliament for a very long time and also served as Agriculture Minister in the Kibaki administration. Samuel Pogisio, who has been the Senate Majority Leader and also served as ICT Minister in the Kibaki II administration. And definitely Dr. Mumbi Ngaru, who has been a member of the East Africa Legislative Assembly and also served as Mayor of Thika Town. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. A very interesting week, and we'll be back next Monday to look at things. By then, I'm sure a lot will have changed. Yes, that has been State of the Nation. After the break, Monday Blitz, weekend football, it's been very busy. And for some teams like Manchester United, I'm sure they don't